The Brooklyn Nets, with so much hype coming into this season, it seemed as though they disappointed. KD never played, and Kyrie has been in his own world ever since joining the Nets. Their coach, who many say has turned that franchise around, fired.
You're fired.
And to top it off, their best player they have going into the NBA's playoff bubble is Caris LeVert. Don't get me wrong, LeVert is still very good, but he should by no means be the best player on a playoff team. Going into the bubble, the Nets are missing out on virtually all of their best players, so they probably won't go very far. The additions of Michael Beasley and Jamal Crawford may help, but things are pointing towards a short stay in Orlando. But the fate of the Nets can all change with another successful offseason by the front office. Can they find a reliable coach who can control the players and lead the team to victory? Will they get Kyrie and KD another star to form the Big Three, or will they just build around their current core? Well, let's get into it. To end the regular season, the Nets fired head coach Kenny Atkinson due to some internal conflicts between him and stars like KD and Kyrie. So if the Nets want to succeed, they should really focus on the coaching staff to please their stars. The top three options would include Mark Jackson, Tyronn Lue, and their interim coach, Jack Vaughn. All are good options, but we think that Lue would be the best for this team. Lue is laid back and will not hold back the strong personalities of Durant and Irving. According to a Sports Illustrated report, Irving was advocating for the Nets to hire Lue after the firing of Kenny Atkinson, so this signing makes a lot of sense for the Nets. Plus, they're a team that's built to win now, and Lue's championship experience will only add to that. Going into the offseason, the Nets will look to make a big trade. The Nets will go out and look to add another star to the Nets super squad. The Nets have many trade pieces in Spencer Dinwiddie, Caris LeVert, and Jarrett Allen that they can possibly flip into a star. But the question remains if they want to sacrifice some solid depth for more firepower. In today's video, we're going to say the answer to that is indeed yes. We have the Brooklyn Nets trading away Jarrett Allen and Caris LeVert and Taurean Prince for LaMarcus Aldridge and Derek White. This trade was inspired by Bleacher Report predictions, and I think this is a pretty good one. Makes a lot of sense for both teams. On the Nets side, they get another veteran all-star level player in their starting lineup, along with another backup guard in Derek White, who may even start over Dinwiddie if need be. Aldridge is the perfect power forward with this team, as he adds size and shooting. This trade also helps the Spurs in kickstarting a rebuild. The Spurs would have two great young guards in their backcourt with DeJounte Murray and now Caris LeVert. Add in an up-and-coming center in Jarrett Allen, and this is another great young group for Pop and the Spurs to develop. In Pop we trust. The Nets do not own their first-round pick, but they do own the Philadelphia 76ers first-round pick, which will be around the pick 20 according to a Tankathon simulation. With the 20th pick, the Nets should look to add some shooting guard depth. With the 20th pick in the NBA draft, the Brooklyn Nets will select Josh Green out of Arizona. Green will fit in nicely as a backup or could possibly start. He will provide dead-eye shooting that the Nets will miss out on if Joe Harris does indeed decide to test free agency. Will he be a star? Probably not. Will he be a solid role piece? Probably. And at this point, with all these stars and vets on the team, Josh Green will be a much-needed young role player. He's not the guy that's going to demand the ball, but he's going to provide some great three-point shooting. He's exactly what this team needs. Heading into free agency, key players who will leave this offseason include Joe Harris. His dead-eye shooting is a huge point of interest for most teams, and we feel that the offers he will receive will be too much to turn down, and Joe Harris will no longer be a member of the Brooklyn Nets. We see them adding Markieff Morris to a one-year minimum contract as a good role piece. He does just about everything right, and he will definitely get your back in any fight.
A contact underneath the rim with Anunoby and Morris, and some shoving between those two. Wow. Ibaka gets into it. Tempers flaring early here in D.C.
The next move they need to make is at the center position. With Jarrett Allen gone, DeAndre Jordan cannot carry the entire load. To help relieve Jordan as a backup, we see the Nets picking up Marc Gasol on a cheap one-year $4.4 million contract. Gasol at this point is pretty much just going to be ring chasing, and he sees the Nets as the best team to do that with. The last free agent the Nets will look to add in their quest to win a championship will be Lance Stevenson. Oh, Lance. Considering Lance was not in the NBA last year, we think it would be realistic if Stevenson took a 1-year minimum contract to play for the Nets and add some more grit to the team. Lance quite literally embodies Brooklyn and will be a nice trash talker, as well as provide some great talent on the court.
The Indiana Pacers, including this, flowing in the ear of LeBron James, and James' reaction, he can't believe it.
With this signing, this is going to wrap up free agency for the Nets, as they don't have a crazy amount of money since they have to pay all their new and returning stars. At the beginning of the 2020 season, the Nets roster looked like this. Kyrie Irving at point guard, Karis LeVert at shooting guard, Joe Harris at small forward, Taurean Prince at power forward, and Jared Allen at center. Off the bench, they had guys like Karukas, DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie, etc. Their lineup going into the 2020-2021 season will now look like this. Kyrie at point guard, Spencer Dinwiddie at shooting guard, Kevin Durant at small forward, LaMarcus Aldridge at power forward, DeAndre Jordan starting at center. Off the bench, they'll have guys like Derek White, Josh Green, Markieff Morris, Marc Gasol, and Lance Stevenson. This roster sure does have a lot of personality, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Kyrie and KD are more than capable of carrying the team on their own, but now they have more than enough support to bring the Nets to an NBA Finals. Dinwiddie is a great defender who is capable of scorer that doesn't need the spotlight. Aldridge is a great big who can rebound and shoot but will not demand the ball. DeAndre Jordan has already proven himself as a great rebounder and defender. In addition to the starting lineup, the bench is gritty and will be stellar defensively. Derek White will be a great sixth man, Josh Green will add some much needed 3-point shooting, Lance and Markieff will hold their own offensively and defensively, and Marc Gasol adds some more veteran experience. This bench unit will not just beat any other team on the court, but they'll beat any team in a fight. No doubt about it. So much grit on this team. I think it's something Nets fans can really get behind. And if the Nets follow this plan, they will be the favorites to win the East and possibly even the NBA Finals. This roster is loaded with talent. But yeah, that does it. I hope you guys enjoy, and if you disagree with our thoughts, don't just tell us you disagree. Tell us why. What would you do differently? Because that's obviously just more enjoyable, and I like to have the active discussions. Drop a like, share with a friend, please do subscribe. It helps us out a ton, and we really do appreciate it. But we'll see you next time. Peace.
What we do here is go back.